Welcome to the RIISE podcast, where inclusivity is our priority. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our 9th episode of the RIISE podcast. I'm very, very excited to be here. Again, my name is Sean English. I'm the host of the RIISE podcast. RIISE is an organization on Purdue's campus that we can get to a little bit later. Today, my guest is Stephen Peace. Stephen, you want to just say hi real quick?
Hello, everybody.
All righty. So Stephen is lucky enough to be interviewed by myself, which obviously is not the case. It's the other way around. Stephen is a 9-time paracycling U.S. national champion, and I'm honored to have him here today. I'm really, really lucky. He's got some really good stuff that he's going to talk about, and I think everyone's going to enjoy it. He has medaled in the UCI World Cup in 34 different races. He's competed in the UCI World Championships 9 times, and he's also a Paralympian, placing 5th and 7th in the 2012 Paralympic Games. So, Stephen, we're going to talk about some things. We got a nickname that I have just been beaming about the past few days.
Everybody loves that one. So
yeah, so we'll get to that one a little bit later. But first, let's get to know you a little bit more. Let's talk about your life before 2006 and your life now. I'll just quickly introduce what we're going to be talking about, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the details. So for everyone that's listening, Stephen was a naval officer who was a 200-mile-per-week cyclist. And then in 2006, just 1 month before his 4th deployment, Stephen suffered a massive stroke that left him unable to speak, use his right arm and leg, or walk independently. He received a medical retirement, or an honorable discharge with medical retirement as a lieutenant commander. And I've got Stephen right here in the cut, and we're going to talk a little bit about your life beforehand. Myself, I love interviewing people and hearing their stories because I've got a story of my own, and it's completely unique. But the main part is you got up, you got out of bed, you did it. I've read a lot about that, where there's no better day to start than today. And the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, but the second best time is right now. So talk to me about planting this tree if you want some biography. So talk to me a little bit about your life before 2006, and then kind of your story and how you're progressing since then.
my life before 2006 was all get up and go, gotta do it. I have to do it now. I love being in the Navy, getting up early in the morning, doing all sorts of stuff during the day, and staying up late at night. I loved doing things and being involved in things. I was in the Navy since 1998. And before that, I was with the Naval Academy, the United States Naval Academy. And it was a different type of school than what you're going through. But it was exciting. The things we'd get to do, like during our summers, where you would go for like 3 months of vacation. We would take that and break it into 2-month and a 1-month block. And the first 2 months was training. And you work with the Marines and the Navy pilots and everything. And it was different, but it put a badge of courage. And I became an officer in 1998. And it was really nice just being someone that you could speak to, which we did constantly. And I had the next 8 years of my life was going exceptionally well. And I thought that I was going to make a career out of the Navy, let's say for at least 20 years. And up until that night in October of 2006, I never would have thought about it any differently. Then October came and the night came I watched television before going to bed, and then I got up to go to bed, and bam, it was like that. I was hit with a very traumatic stroke. And I didn't know anything about strokes except, oh, you know that it's that disease that has old people. Well, little did I know that it's spread across people from just born until elderly. And I would not have guessed that I would have one. But as chances have it, I did. And that night, uh, it started. And when you have a stroke, your mind starts to garble things up. And you don't think right properly, because I was conscious, but I wasn't really thinking right and speaking right. But I was, and when it hit me, it started, I immediately hit the floor. I couldn't stand anymore. But to me, if I was fully capable, I'd be like, oh, something's wrong. But when I had the stroke, it's like, oh, I'll be okay. And I did that for approximately 14 hours. And most people say somewhere around 3 to 4 hours and you have a stroke. They can give you some medicine in the hospitals that will reduce the amount of damage done. Obviously, 14 is a little more than that. And at 14 hours, my friend from the ship came with the fire department, who busted on the door, and they found me. And he put me. I didn't go into a coma, but I was like, I don't remember the next week of my life. And when I came to, after about a week, my parents had already come up to Michigan from Michigan, and that's where it all starts.
Wow, that's an incredible story, and I've never spoken to anyone that has that specific story that you're talking about, where you in a normal scenario you would think that this is bad or this is scary, but in the scenario that you were in, you were, hey, I'm okay,
Yeah.
or this is going to be fine. And
When I wake up, we're on the floor. I can't walk. I can't talk. I can't speak. Everything is pointing to something's wrong, but my mind tells me, oh, it's okay.
that's 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 insane. It's hard to process that, and a huge part of what we're trying to do as an organization at school is to release the stigma between physical disabilities. But there's like you're talking about right here, there's so much more than just physical problems in life, in everything. And there's some things like that's got to be a scary thought to think of. And I appreciate you having the courage to share with me and to share with the amount of people that you have shared with worldwide, because it's a helpful conversation where, yeah, like we might get maybe a parking spot, or we might have somebody hold the door for us, but it's a lot more than just physical. And that's got to be something that's just insanely difficult to deal with. And you being someone that has been very outspoken and helpful is helping a lot of people. So I just want to say thank you for that courage. And that's a crazy story. And I like how you said that's where it starts,
Yeah.
because with the wrong mindset, that's where it could have ended, right? But that's the start of the next few things that we're going to talk about with CAF and your competing career and your nickname. That I can't hold it in anymore, guys. His nickname that people were talking about is the Trike-Guru or the Trike Whisperer. You can Google his name and just put Trike-Guru and it will pop up after. I love that. I want to hear that story. I also want to hear about your story of your recovery and how you decided that, all right, it's game time. This happens, it happened, but the next step has always got to be the best step. So if you want to just share to me after the start of your story, which I love, again, I love how you phrased that, because with the wrong mindset, that would have been the end. So talk to me about your start.
I spent about the next 6 months in the hospital, actually 3 different hospitals, and they would did all through your physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and I took advantage of everything they let me do, because me, I'm gonna be okay, and everything's gonna be fine, and I'm gonna deploy with my ship in 6 months. And it about broke my heart that it went about 2 months into my recovery, the captain of the ship came and said, sorry, but you're not going to be able to go with us. And I was like, oh gosh. And I wanted to go curl up in the ball and cry, and I did for about probably a day or so. And then I was like, okay, that's good. I can't do that, but I've got plenty I can do. And I talked to everyone, and my parents were included, and asked them, what do you think I can do? What can I go do in 6 months or whatever? Because I wasn't going to let the stroke keep me down. And that's when it's, like I said, that's when it started. And it started with just putting in double effort in my therapy. And then I was in the hospital for about 3 months. And then after that, I kept going to the hospital with my outpatient work. And it took about 2 years, I think, until I wasn't getting any more out of that. Except one thing I did get out of it, the day that I finished up with my therapy at the hospital, was my like right then it was this girl, but that girl eventually became my wife, and she was a physical therapist. She never I never had anything to do with her, but she was in the same office that were right near where we sat quite a bit. So that was a very good thing that happened.
Wow. I'm gonna interrupt real quickly right there. My cheeks hurt from smiling. That like I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch this when I'm editing. And I was visibly happy when you said that. That's what I love. That's the start of your story. That's the start of you guys as a relationship. Like that's, I'm gonna let you keep going, but I just want to jump in there and
one of the things that the physical therapist was trying to do is get outside. And we go outside, tried to go for short walks, and then we got this idea of getting my recumbent trike. And when the Wounded Warrior Project said, oh, that's a good idea. And they bought me a trike. And I started riding it. I was starting to get really fast. So I traded that one in to get a bigger, better trike. And once again, I eventually topped out on that for speed. I was like, well, that's the biggest one that they make. I can't go any higher. And I heard about this upright trike over in Europe. And I called a guy and talked to him. And he said, sure, we can get you one, but you had to pay for it before you ever ridden it. And when you actually pay for it, it was like $2,500, $3,000. I was like, okay. So I sat on that for about 2 weeks or so. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I went and bought one. It took about 6 months to get to me because the guy is retired and just goes out in the shop and work on making me trikes. But I finally got it. And for the first 6 months of having it, it was very scary because I tell everybody that wants to ride a trike now, take everything you know about riding a bike, put it in a ball, and throw it away. Because everything is like pretty much the opposite of what you did. And unfortunately, I didn't have anybody to tell me that. So I had to learn everything by falling down, tripping, crashing. And it took me 6 months before I was like, I could actually go out on the road and ride with other people. And it was probably another 2 years before I felt I could actually teach other people about it. Shortly after learning how to ride it I went to a camp that I had the upright trike with, and I didn't do anything fast or anything like that. But the coaches and everybody was very, very, very interested because they'd seen a couple of them do like 2 trikes in the United States besides mine. And they were like, they've got trikes, but you ride it a little bit differently. And come to find out, it meant that I was ready to ride competitively. And so that came pretty quickly, was to the nationals in 2009. And lo and behold, I won. And I didn't really know back then what it was. I'm like, okay, yeah, woo, I got a medal, woo. And then I was like, the guy's like, okay, now the thing is, since you won nationals, you can qualify for the international stuff. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. And we went to Canada because the international race was in Canada, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun to see other people with the same kind of bike that I had, and it was very disheartening because I had to go through classification again, where I went through in nationals, I was classified as a T1. That's a very disabled person riding a trike. When I went to the international classification, they thought that I was actually a T2, which means not quite so disabled. And I was crushed. I went from looking at first place, and now in this new classification, I was looking at placing last. And that's what I did. But I was there to race. I'm going to race. And I got last place. And so then the weekend happened that the World Championships were, and I was crushed again. And I went home, sat on my couch, and think like, okay, here's what I can do. I can I raced, I had a good time. That's it. I'm done. Or I could B, I can put everything I've got into riding this trike and be the best that I can be. I obviously chose B, and the rest of that is history. And I actually think that that moment, that choice, which really made me who I am, and that's what caused me to be ready for everyone and get trikes and bring them to the trike.
I love that. And a lot of what you talked about in the beginning of that is just kind of learning. And there's not being a set blueprint out. And there's a lot of people that kind of feel that way. And you having to go overseas to talk to a guy and then just to trust that it's going to be what he designs it as or what he tells you, him saying basically like, you're going to have to buy it before you ride it, and it's going to be $3,000. That takes a lot, and nowadays it's not like that. A lot of it, from what you and a lot of other really strong, smart people have done and helped with this sport and this, you could say this new thing when you kind of started, is you didn't have that blueprint. And
Yep.
that's what we're trying to do as an organization, is we're trying to help with engineering projects that can help the Paralympic community, the disabled community in any way. And I think there's a lot of things that can happen. There are a lot of things where it just might be this small thing, but in 10 years from now, it might be around or it might be here. So I particularly loved when I heard about your story and was able to speak to you that one time, and just to listen to you talk. I loved it because it replicates everything that we want to do here as an organization at Purdue. And so I'm really lucky to have you here, because the problems that you are discussing in 2007, 2008 time, are those, there are going to be problems like that in 10 years. There's going to be problems like that in 5 years, and someone's going to have to find a fix. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to find a fix. So I loved hearing that part there, and just your introduction into the competing world. And and now you helping other people and even coaching, working on the numbers for people in trikes. They don't call you the trike whisperer for nothing. And I'm hearing it firsthand, and I'm honored. Um, and I'm really curious to see. I see some CAF merch right over there. I'd love to talk about that next. Um, and not to skip over 2012, I would love to talk about 2012 as well. Um, and you talked about me, or talked about your introduction to your early competing career. I think we can jump back in, and let's hear the all like the big numbers. Like I had to write down those numbers that we were talking about earlier, like 34 times at the UCI World Cup. Like that's a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think that's up to 42 based on the time delay. If you got to take if you take the document from, so it's probably up to 30 or 34 too.
Okay.
So,
Well, I stand corrected again. I love that. I love that Google can't even keep up with you right now. I love
yeah.
that. And that's why we have you sitting down with us in person, so we can hear your story and not what Google can somehow mess up, because it always messes stuff up.
Yeah.
But let's continue where we left off. I think talking a little bit more about your more professional career and the competing of it. And I'd love to talk about how you're inspiring people nowadays in coaching, and still getting out on the road.
Actually, in 2009, when I won national championship and then the world championship, I've placed last. When I made my decision to put everything I have into the upright trike, it was time for that's the time that it shows that I'm gonna make a difference. And I think there were 8 people plus me in the world championships. And that was it. That's all there was for the trikes. And so now I think in one of the trikes that we held in Belgium, there was some like 40 something, 45 trikes. And those are just the ones that qualify for that. So there's probably 60 to 80 actual trikes out there. And it was, I like to think I have some small part of that, because you look at the, like I said about the trikes, there were 3 of them, including mine, in the United States. Now there's, I think, 25. So, and most of those have come through me. There are, I have in my little garage outside, which is my trike headquarters, there's 3 trikes back there that are mine. And then there are probably about 9 other trikes that I use. I rent them out. And it was really great when there was a guy in England who made more trikes. He's retired now. So right now there is nobody making trikes. So we're kind of like, we're in a hard spot. But back to my story. So I've decided I'm going to race trikes. I took the World Championship was at the end of the year. Come the beginning of the next year, and I've been working in weightlifting weights and swimming and everything. And they had the first race of the year happened, and it was in Sydney, Australia. And we go down there, and I actually placed 3rd in both races that I was in. So that was impressive for me, because I thought I was like, oh darn it, he beat me, and oh wait, nobody else beat me. And it was a good feeling, but it left a little taste in my mouth, like I can be better than that. And that's what I did. It always, I began getting 2nd place, sometimes 3rd, 1st place. And for the next 2 or 3 years, it was my name for the places that needed it to be. Because the other people, like Jill Walsh, Ryan Boyle, things like that, where they're not quite there yet. Because for those who don't know it, both of those people have the Rio Olympics in 2016, the Tokyo Olympics, which was just last year, and they are placing in those. So they are surpassed me. But again, I feel like I played some small part in that.
I would 100% agree with the numbers you're talking about, and I just love hearing the difference. That's the word I was looking for. The difference between when this story for you started, like you said, and how it's going now is incredible, and it just takes a few people, and that's what it sounded like. He said 8, including yourself. That number is way higher now, and it could be higher if everyone qualified, but not everyone qualifies. So I would 100% say you played a big role in that. And even what you're doing nowadays, you're renting out these trikes, especially when, if I wanted one right now, I wouldn't be able to buy one because no one's making them.
Yep.
So I got to find my wheels somehow. I gotta work up with it, or rent used, and there's not many of these out around. You can't really just walk into a bike store and find one. So I would say you have helped this sport get to where it is, and you're continuing to help even currently. You're a part of CAF, and in an amazing way. You do amazing things nowadays to this day to help people and to help this sport. And there's a lot of people that could retire from racing, or there's a lot of people that could just have one race and be like, all right, I'm done, or I'm done with that. But you continue to help, and you continue to even get out, and you're still biking, like you're still moving, and fast, very fast. So it's impressive, and it's admirable. I would even say that you're doing a lot for this sport that you didn't even know existed, what, 17 years ago, 16 years ago, and you've done a lot of the heavy lifting and the groundwork, and it's got to be really cool to sit back and just kind of watch this sport just be who it is. And a lot of that is because of the work that you put in there. So I think that's incredible. I think that's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about. I want to hear a little bit about CAF. Talk to me about your relationship with them, how they've helped, how they embody a strong message. Because I've done a little bit of work with them as well, just a tiny bit, and I've heard a lot of good things about them. So I'd love to hear about the CAF.
Okay. I was like, when just before, probably a year before or probably a year before I got my first upright trike, and I was still riding the recumbents. I spent a lot of time with Wounded Warriors Soldier Rides, and we were at one of these places. I think it was Nashville, and the fellow, there was another person there called, her name was Melissa Stockwell, and she told me, like, you know what, you do pretty good at this. Have you ever wanted to try out and be um, a spokesperson or something for the Challenge Athletes Foundation? I'm like, I've never heard of it. And she said, oh, well, try it. I think their headquarters is in San Diego. It was like, okay, I'll try it. And I tried it. I called them up, and there was a guy named Nico. He was in charge of their military, or Operation Rebound. And he said, oh, yeah, come on by. Let me tell you all this stuff. And it was great, awesome. And he got me signed up, and he's like, so you need any money? I'm like, what? Like, yeah. But the military had a pot of money, and that it was there for us to use. And that's what helped me get my first upright trike. And it has become actually the best. Nothing can touch it as helping those people who are in need. And they want everybody they can use sport as a therapy. And that's like all sports: biking, shot put, wrestling, basketball, you name. They'll if they didn't if they've never done that sport before, and you come up with it, they'll find a way. And it's a great organization. And I'm not sure exactly how many were there when I joined, but now it is literally every country on the planet. And they're just like, every year they would do what's called the $1 Million Challenge. And that's where a group of about 100 to 125 riders go for a bike ride down the California coast. And what those people have to do to go on the ride is $12,500 minimum to get in. So you figure, just to go out there, 100 people you're right there, you're looking over $1 million raised. And usually, since that is the minimum, they make quite a bit of money. And and that's just 1 week of to raise that money. The rest of the year, y'all just doing the same kind of thing. So it's
$1 million, it's broken down so elegantly. Just $1 million is just that 100 times. It's pretty simple, and that's in minimum donation. Like, I can see, just in my head, I can see a bunch of people throwing some more because it's for a good cause, and that's the important thing. And raising money is really hard. I know, like RIISE right now as an organization, we have this really cool wheelchair basketball competition coming up soon called Wheel Rise. That's going to be in about a month here at the time of us filming. And we're working on social media. We're working on getting some posts out, and we're working on getting donations so that we can actually put on this event. And it's really difficult, but the CAF, it sounds like, just found the perfect middle ground of, I want to compete and I want to have this friendly competition, but also compete with myself. And I also want to help a good cause, and it finds the perfect middle ground. And I would assume there's a lot of returners, people that competed last year want to compete next year. So that's not just one purchase of 12, that's 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. So that's awesome.
I would say probably 60% of the people who ride MDC probably ride it again and again and again.
And that's scenic too, down the coast of California. Like, you don't get to say that you did that often. Like, that's awesome.
I've been lucky enough that I've done it 9 times. This year will be the 10th time. But except for the one year that was rainy, it's absolutely beautiful.
That's incredible. That is, well, if there's anyone listening and they want to check it out, you can probably find it on CAF's page. You can email RIISE, and RIISE will have that information as well. You can message us on our social media accounts. You can find my personal. I bet you could find Steven's personal and reach out as well. But if anyone's looking to donate to a really, really good organization that I know about, as well as Steven over here, CAF is incredible. It's doing very, very good things for a lot of people like us. And there's a lot of good things that go on in our lives that would be a lot more difficult if it wasn't for the people that actually cared. And there's a lot of people that care in this organization. So if anyone wants to check that out, I could probably put it in the description of our, I'll put it in the description of our YouTube video, as well as our podcast links on Spotify and anywhere else you can find it. Again, this is, you can find that, sorry for the shameless little plug right here, but you can find our RIISE podcast on our YouTube channel, also our social media at RIISE Purdue. And there's a lot of cool stuff out there. And we do have our big wheelchair event here coming soon called Wheel Rise. I'm currently trying to find a design for a t-shirt. And I realize I'm really bad at designing things. I'm a lot better at talking about things. I could talk about designing a t-shirt all day, but I'm not really the best at designing a t-shirt. So maybe off camera, if you got some design ideas, just let me know, but don't tell the people right yet. But that's cool. I just wanted to thank you. I'm not closing up yet, here soon. I just wanted to thank you for your courage and your admirable story and telling me everything. I know, me personally, it's not easy to talk about some of the stuff that happened to me, but you make it sound just so easy. And just the numbers that you put up for hospital time, getting to outpatient, and then outpatient getting done, basically done. And your continued effort on your own and just helping other people in any step of the way that you can. It really shows a lot about your character and what you grew up with, your family life and that strength there, as well as your experience with the Navy. That just shows that the good people like you are the good people that serve our country on a daily basis. And I don't know. I'm just really impressed. I'm really happy I got to talk to you today. You're a really good person. I'm not gonna lie, I've done 9 episodes, and this might be my favorite conversation that we've had. Don't tell any of the other ones, but this is one of my better ones. So I wanted to give you an opportunity for the floor where I'm not asking questions that you have to answer. I'm gonna give you a chance to, if there's anything in the world you want to talk about, you can go for it. If you think we've hit some good notes, then we can close it up here soon. But I wanted to give you the floor if there's anything you want to add. That's all you.
Well, I would have to say that I've got to tell you a little bit about the origin of my trike whisperer, trike
Oh, I
guru.
almost forgot about that. I need to hear it. I need to hear it.
Early on, probably she's like fourth person I've ever taught to ride the trike. I taught Jill Walsh, and she's now surpassed me. She doesn't. She can put the trike on the map, and because she's fast, she's been to 2 Olympics. She takes first place in many of the day races that she's in. But what comes down to it, she's not a mechanically oriented person. So whenever anything was wrong and she had to tighten something or loosen bolts or anything like that, she'd be like, I have no idea what's wrong with my trike. And she goes, but Steve knows. He can just talk to it. He's like, what's that? What's that? That shows a trike whisperer. And right then when she said it, I was like, oh no, that it's gonna pick it and stick, and it has. And then along with that, I had added a little bit of Trike-Guru because I've spent my time working trikes forever, and I've learned all the ins and outs and everything. It's like, it feels like second nature. And so like when anybody needs something and they're a mechanic or something, like I'm not sure how you put this on or something, like call Steve. He's a true guru. I'm like, that's me. So
I love that.
They're both just, they stick to you, but I don't mind having that kind of thing stuck to me. So
I mean, it's a compliment. There's not many people that get deemed the whisperer with whatever specialty they have. I remember growing up watching the dog whisperer, or like that, and that show is like just that person being the man or the woman. That person is the person. So it's an honor. I think it's an honor that they're calling you that. And it's just, I saw that before I found the other information that we talked about. And of course, we talked about kind of your life a little bit before we filmed the podcast, just to make sure that everything was accurate. But I found the Trike-Guru and Trike Whisperer like very quickly. And I was really excited to hear more about that, because that's a great name. That is I want that on a t-shirt. I might send it to you at the mail. We can get some RIISE merch, Trike-Guru, Trike Whisperer. I love that. I want to also give you an opportunity if there's anything else that you want to talk about. You can jump right in.
I would just say that I was an athlete, but my athlete days are peaking a peak, and I'm trying on the other side, but I'm not backing off, because now I can take my time and spend it more on the coaching and mechanic and things like that. So I'm not done with anything. I'm still going to be in races. I'm still going to try to win nationals and stuff, but there's so many people that I can help, even those who've never seen a trike before. But I'm here for them, all of you, because everybody should have the opportunity. If they can ride a trike, if they qualify, certified, or if they classify, that they too can ride a trike. And my website, uh, www.peacecyclingperformance.com. That'll help tell them all they need to know. And the rest of it, just give me a call, shoot me an email.
And you can take it from me. Stephen has been incredible in our communication so far. He is quite literally the definition of approachable. We're on a time change. So it is, what's it around? Around 6 o'clock my time and 3 o'clock your time? Yeah, that sounds about right. So Stephen last week was like, Thursday, 5:15 works. I was like, let's do it, 5:15. And then 5:15 came around on my time, and I was like, I didn't send him an email. I got to do this real quickly. And I look and it says PST, and I'm like, oh, Sean, you silly goose. I have to work at 8:30 at night because I work nights. So I texted Steven. I was like, listen, I understand we're supposed to do this in 2 hours and you probably took time out of your day. Can we please reschedule for next week? And he was like, yeah, Monday, let's do it Monday. So at the time of filming right now, it is Monday, March 14th, I think. You guys will be seeing this episode probably Friday, March, whatever Friday is. But I just want to say, Stephen, you could reach out to him anywhere, his website. An amazing person to talk to. And he, like you said, you're into coaching now. And that's not because you're not fast enough. That's because you want to help as many people as possible. And you also want to do what you love, and you're going to still compete. And I'm going to be rooting for you on that little California trip. That's going to be incredible. I can't wait to hear about it more. And we're obviously going to stay in touch as we go on, because we're working on some things from our engineering side of things that we think could be of help. So again, I think this is a decent time to wrap it up. And I just wanted to really, truly thank you for giving me the time of day and for rescheduling with me last week, because I'm really sorry about that. You're truly an incredible person, and I can't wait to bombard you with people that need coaching, because I think you have such an expertise. And like you said, you can just think about the trike. So you already have had an impact, and I'm looking forward to see how big that impact gets. And not to put all that on your plate, but I want everyone to go and talk to you if they need any help with this. So truly inspirational, truly inspiring, admirable. Any good words, if I had a thesaurus, I'd pull it out right now. Very, very good stuff. I'm honored to have spoken with you today, and I can't wait to post this episode. I think everyone's going to love it.
Sounds good.
So I think this is a good time to close it up. I just wanted to thank everyone for listening, and be sure to check out our other podcasts. Episode 8 was with Joel Gomez, and you can keep going down the list and you can find some more people. There's a lot more episodes to come, and if I can find someone better than Steven, then pinch me, because I'm dreaming. And my background just broke in the back. I think that is a good time to wrap it up. Steven, if you want to just have some closing remarks, that would be great.
All we gotta say is, don't quit. Try everything. Try. Because there's so many things out there that anybody can find you and find the thing that they can do best. So
I love that. I might need to get that on a t-shirt too. That was incredible. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been the RIISE podcast. This is episode 9 with Stephen Peace, and my name is Sean English, and I'm signing out. Everyone have a good one. Bye-bye.
bye.